Good day, everyone. I'm your host today on Sunset on Plus, Camille Moore, and with me I have my regular, Jermaine Manswell, aka J Dots. How are you doing today, J Dots?
I am fine, Camille. How are you? How was your Easter?
Well, Easter was great. Today was rainy. That's all I have to say on today.
Did you eat a lot of buns?
We'll get back to that. I want to introduce, we have a special guest with us today, Miss Jevon Joseph. Her day job, she's a professional counselor with specialties in mediation, family life services. And she joins us today to just get in on, our topics. But I wanted to say just a little bit about herself that we don't know. To just say hi to our viewing audience.
Hi. What you don't know. So I'm a grandmother actually of 5 beautiful grandchildren. I enjoy grandmotherhood and I just love taking care of people, and that's what grandmotherhood gives me the opportunity to continue. So thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm glad you're here with us. Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Listen, this wonderful co-host of us today, I can safely say she's such a beautiful soul. She has been a friend of my family for as long as I know, taking care of my brother. I mean, she could also speak about that. So to share the same space with you, breathing the breath of fresh air to our audience is such a wonderful beginning. And I trust that it will grow.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for that introduction.
Oh, that was excellent, wonderful. So, as we're starting off today, I was thinking, as adults, sometimes we go through different phases in life, and I just wanted to throw out to you guys, do you think as we get older that it's difficult for us to form friendships? Because, when you're in school, it's one thing, you have your schoolmates, you go off into the workplace, you meet friends there, but as we go through different stages, I just wanted to get your opinion.
And you start with me?
And I start with you. Okay. I will get Alicia's professional take just now, but I want to hear your take. Remember, this is friendships we're talking about, Janine?
Not
friendships.
Not relationship.
Friendships.
Okay. In starting off, I think the word friendship is becoming very desensitized, but also sensitive at the same time, because a lot of people call themselves or someone else a friend, but literally it have a different meaning within them. And some people feel so betrayed and hurt when that friendship is not being reiterated in an equality way. So there are positives and negatives to friendships. I mean, we could talk about people who are laser focused. I mean, they're so focused that they don't have time to be anybody's friend. Can't vex with these people. Then we have people who just not open-minded at all. They're just so boxed in because of experiences, because of their past with experiencing negative situations with others, always being on the losing end. And then we have other situations like giving and not receiving, receiving and not giving. So there are many factors that contributes to people not wanting a friendship, who just wants to be gradual. And a big thing for me, before I allow our beautiful host to speak, a big thing for me is boundaries. I mean, if you want a proper friendship, then respect people's boundaries. You know what, let me just go back to the golden rule. I will allow Miss Alicia to start from there.
But I liked what you said, Jermaine, and I want Alicia to chime in terms of, you said something there about, boundaries and past hurt. Because sometimes we let people in, we're thinking they are our friends. And then, before you know it, they stab it in your back. So, just to get from, your professional feedback in terms of, how does one deal with something like that?
Well, you know, Camille, the first thing I would like to say is that friendship has a lot to do with how an individual defines what a friend is. And what does a friend mean to you? So for some people, I may say you are my friend, and whether we call each other, whether we see each other, doesn't have any impact. Whatever you do doesn't affect me, and you're my friend, because friendship there is being used casually.
Yeah.
But if somebody really is considered a friend, then you know each other. You feel each other's pain. You laugh, you cry, and whatever affects you would certainly affect me. And so friendship, like love, I like to say, is is a word that is used or can be used in a casual way. And as I said in the beginning, it will affect you the way you see it. So I liked how a point was made before about boundaries.
Yeah.
Because I remember my grandmother saying, you know, there are friends you can bring in, you would allow to come in your yard, there are friends you would allow to come in your porch area, and then there are friends that you would allow to come in your bedroom. So they were categorized. But the ideal friend is based on how you see a friend. For me, an ideal friend should be inclusive of all those things. And so, yeah.
Yeah, because I find, I mean, how should I put it, boys? Sometimes, you know, you would see a person as a friend, but they may not view you in the same light.
Correct.
And that's where the hurt will come in.
Yes, definitely.
Right? And, you know, again, J-Dot would have touched on it in terms of, you know, we get older and you're going, it's a different lifestyles, different interests. You grow apart.
Yes. Yes.
I have a question as we touch on lifestyles. I mean, and this question channels to you.
Yes.
In the light of one having a change in their life, a change of lifestyle, let's just say, that's your best friend. You grew up with your best friend. She understands you, you understand her, and you get an opportunity in another country. Does that person still consider your friend? How does the relationship continue? I mean, we have a lot of emotions already intrinsically connected between those two people or two individuals. So how do you deal with somebody like that? Is there any trauma being created?
So I actually love that question because it directly applies to me. I have one person particularly that I consider a friend. I mean, really, as a matter of fact, my family calls her my sister. And our friendship goes way beyond 20 years. And because, again, of changes in our life, COVID and life circumstances, our children grow older, we have empty nest syndrome, and you have so many things happening. But in my case, I had to leave Trinidad for quite a while and spend most of my time abroad. And so initially when that decision was made, it was tough on both of us. Actually, we spent time praying about it, and there were a lot of tears. And the tears was because they were happy and they were sad. We wouldn't be together physically, but we understood that the reason I was going away was for better good, and we agreed. And so we have technology. Actually, whatever country we're in, we sit every morning and have coffee together.
I love that.
We still cry together, and we still laugh together. Actually, I just left St. Lucia a couple hours ago because her daughter, which I consider my daughter, just got married. And so we planned a wedding, we did everything, and we don't feel apart. If we don't physically see each other for quite a while, the connection is there. And that's one of the things I was talking about, real friendship. That for me entails, those elements will for me entail what a real friend is. Distance would do absolutely nothing.
I totally agree.
And thank you to technology. Yes.
on the heave of that, you mentioned a word called emptiness syndrome. Could you elaborate more on for myself, of course, and for the wider audience, what that might mean? I mean, your explanation might bring some type of consciousness to them.
So it's actually emptiness syndrome.
Right.
So both our kids are adults, all our kids are adults, and they would have left to now start their own lives. So what happens is, whereas before we are both widows, and so we don't have our spouses, but our children would have been the ones to keep our company more or less and give us a focus. But because our nest, which is our home, would now be empty, you're now left with that empty feeling of not having. And then when you don't have that one person or two persons to now fill that gap, then it makes it more difficult.
I totally understand.
Yeah.
Well, I want us to just end a little bit here because we have to go to a break. And when we come back, we'll hear some more from Alicia in terms of her viewpoints with friendships. But I'm enjoying this discussion this afternoon, guys.
Thank you.
So again, short break, but you could find us on Tego, Facebook, and YouTube. Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays from 6. And we're your hosts today, and we'll be right back after this short break.
This is another episode of Life Matters, and I am your host, Latina Mata. Give us some insight into what is Miss Earth and what is so special about this pageant.
Okay, so like many pageants, there are a purpose behind the crown. So Miss Earth in particular, it's all about the awareness of the environment, and I'm basically an ambassador informing everyone to take care of their environment and their surroundings.
Take this moment, guys, to advocate the importance of mental health awareness, ensuring that this is something that is started to be placed in schools, in these school curriculums. Yes. Why aren't we having easy therapy access to schools, to parents, to the children? You know, that is something that we need to get some hands written about, right?
My name is Jesse McBarrow, and you are looking at Mending Minds. Tell us your Mending Mind moment.
I will say set goals.
A lot of people get so caught up in the what, they forget the why. There's this fixation of this is what I'm going to do, and they forget why.
Yeah.
You know, you pursue that in the first place.
I think it's 5 minutes.
No.
Back to Sunset on Plus. I'm your host today, Camille Moore, and again I'm joined by Jermaine Manswell and our special guest, Alicia Joseph. Alright, so when we went to break, we were talking about what were some of the reasons why forming friendships as an adult might seem difficult. So we touched on busy lifestyles, we ended off with changing life circumstances, and we were just about to touch on different priorities, because like we were saying before, people change.
Yes.
Right? You go through different things in life, and who we were at 21, we may not be the same at 50. So that is a difference for sure. And lastly, fear of rejection. And this part here, I was thinking, you know, And it would lead into the next topic, which is some strategies that we could implement to make friends. Because I'm thinking, just putting myself out there, right? Because yes, I have my core friends. Some would have fallen along the way, but I'm finding it now, post-COVID, that it's difficult to engage with new people. So I just wanted to know, guys, what strategies or some of the ways you think we could, as adults, find new friends.
Gentlemen, I want ladies first.
The gentleman first. Okay, no problem. New ways to find friends. It always seems as a very hard thing at first, because you never know the unknown. You never know what mood somebody in. Somebody could wake up and not say the prayers, not have a cup of tea, and somebody get them angry. And another thing is not sorting out things before you sleep at night. So you wake up with that, and you start the other day with that. You go out there, you meet people, and you're not going to attract anybody with that type of energy. So that is first and foremost. So when one learns to appreciate themselves in a way, they could separate their own personal feelings from going out there and entangling with other people, then I think friendship would be on a different level.
It's interesting.
Yes, very interesting take. I never would have thought of that. Interesting. But I think too, one of the things is you have to find, first of all, you have to want to.
Yeah.
A lot of times in life changes, it creates, it changes or impacts on how people see themselves and how they see others. And sometimes you might find people going through depression because of the circumstances they would have gone through. They would be feeling a sense of, I don't have any self-worth, I just don't want to, I just want to stay by myself. Some of the ways I think that would help, first of all, when you move past and you now want to, get a new hobby. So I went and learned to dance. It was always a dream of mine.
That's excellent.
And when my kids got older and I had some more time, my spouse passed on, I was like, wow, I'm free. I could actually learn to dance. And so I went and learned to dance. And in dancing, my circle of influence and changes, I met new people. And out of those new acquaintances, you can decide, do I want to take any of them a step further and label them as a friend? So they would be acquaintances or my dance people. So, and so you go to church, you make new friends. Just the fact that you start to do different things, visit different places, every time you move one step in a new direction, you would meet new people. However, you decide what category do you want to put those people in? Is it that you're going to form a friend? Because we all know we might go to an environment and you laugh and talk with everybody. And when you go home, you analyze these people. Wow. You see Camille, that girl has such a lovely spirit. That can be my, you see Camille, from the time you walk in, that girl's so sour. And you already categorize, she's not going to be my friend with that negative aura. But when I go and dance, hey Camille, how are you going? So you find new things to do, and that's one of the ways.
But not interrupt.
Yes.
Yeah.
But just piggybacking on what you're saying, can that change? Can even though you met them like that first, I mean, take into consideration that they're probably in a bad mood, can that change? Can that status change?
Yes, of course it can, because it's like first impressions.
Yeah.
So you have a first impression. Now, there's a saying I used to tell my students and trainees, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. However, if you work hard enough, you can. So Camille may have been, I don't know what would have caused her to be upset when I met her the first time. And that may not be her personality at all. And on my second and third encounter with her, I realized, wow, Camille is actually such a lovely person. So yes, there are things that can happen that could change your perspective on that person.
And Alicia, I just wanted to ask, for those who would have been, as they say, burnt in the past,
Yes.
by past friendships, how would you advise them moving forward now to let go of that past hurt?
So one of the main reasons that a friendship would disintegrate would be broken trust. And so while it's one of the main pillars, it's also one of the things that would destroy a friendship. As a matter of fact, any relationship. And so the individual now has to get past that, whether you distract yourself in terms of getting involved in another crowd. So I leave dancing and I now go to hiking, outdoor sports. And that may be one of the ways too. There are some people who are like me and very resilient. I just move on. And there are a lot of people like that. However, that would be dependent on your personality, one, and how deep that friendship may have gone. Because there are some friendships that you're so entangled, that's my children's godmother and all that. And it's very difficult to say how long that hurt would last, that pain would last. But what I would say to you, there's no gain in holding on to that pain, because you're just suffering and life goes on. So, yeah.
I like that.
Is that good enough?
That is actually more than good enough, because it ties in perfectly with our last point with fear and rejection.
Yes.
Because people don't like rejection.
That's right.
But fear is something we almost can't control. I mean,
Yes.
we can, but we almost can't control fear, because it's a consistent energy that
Yes.
always can flow through you. But if you allow it to stay, as you rightfully
Yes.
mentioned,
Yes.
then it would create that energetic blockage for you, and you wouldn't be open-minded. You wouldn't be able to process anybody fairly.
That is so
You just watch everybody within the mirrors of your own eyes, and that becomes
experience.
you become a very poor judgment of character, and then you just find yourself judging everybody as opposed to not watching yourself.
That is so true. That is so true. Yeah.
So, I like how this topic was, how we wrapped it up today. Again, guys, we just have to put ourselves out there. As they say, leave the past in the past and just be open-minded to meeting new persons,
Yes,
right?
Definitely.
Okay, so this is another topic I found interesting as we were talking about Alicia starting dance class and whatnot. This one I came across, can art make you smarter? So research has shown that engaging with art can have various cognitive benefits that contribute to overall intellectual development, which can be associated with being smarter in certain contexts. All right, and I just wanted to get, some viewpoints, because like I said, there's a lot of research on it. Some have said art in itself awakens our thinking, our critical thinking, creativity, and even empathy and emotional intelligence.
Yes. Yeah.
So I don't know, Alicia, what is your take on?
Camille, one of the first things is when we hear the word art, almost immediately the average person tend to think about a drawing or a painting. But so is it all that art entails? And for me, no, I like to take it wider than that. Art is so much, and even like dancing. So art in itself, yes, I feel it encourages critical thinking and analysis. So particularly for me, I am challenged with pictorial art. So those visual art, paintings and all that, for me, I have to actually look at it and study it and try to see what the painter was saying. There's art in music, and I know you can identify well, that's your area, right? Your family, as a matter of fact. There's art in dancing, and so for me, art would motivate growth. definitely the older generation, we are encouraged to exercise our minds. And for me, particularly with dancing, I picked up, I have to know, first you have to learn steps, you have to practice, and so those are the things that helps you to not only think, but helps you to exercise your brains.
Right, so Alicia, we're going to go to a short break.
Yes.
And I want you to continue that point when we come back. Again, you can see us on Tego, Facebook, and YouTube. All right, so see you all after the break.
This is another episode of Life Matters, and I am your host, Latina Mata. Give us some insight into what is Miss Earth and what is so special about this pageant.
Okay, so like many pageants, there are a purpose behind the crown. So Miss Earth in particular, it's all about the awareness of the environment, and I'm basically an ambassador informing everyone to take care of their environment and their surroundings.
Take this moment, guys, to advocate the importance of mental health awareness, ensuring that this is something that is started to be placed in schools and in school curriculums.
Yes.
Why aren't we having easy therapy access to schools, to parents, to the children? You know, that is something that we need to get some hands written about, right?
My name is Jesse McBarrow, and you are looking at Mending Minds. Tell us your Mending Mind moment.
I will say set goals.
A lot of people get so caught up in the what, they forget the why. There's this fixation of this is what I'm going to do, and they forget why.
Yeah.
You know, you pursue that in the first place.
And welcome back, guys, to Sunset on Plus. And we were just talking about, can art make you smarter, before we went to the break. All right, and we were talking about research, and they did speak about art helping with our critical thinking. And when we went to break, Alicia was talking about, you know, dance, not just art in terms of, you know, paintings, but dance, any form of expression.
Yes.
Right, can be a form of
Yes,
of art.
definitely. I think too, art would motivate you into wanting to get out there. It gives you something to look forward to. And so the average Asian person, and I want to go back to the emptiness, so you have a lot of time on your hands, you would have probably retired, kids big, so what do I do? And once you get into the art form, it's interesting because you want to know more. So I may have started off with one type of dance, but there's so many others. I may have started off listening to contemporary music, then I went to soca, and so it motivates you to learn more and exercise our brain. So to me, I see it definitely being a plus. Yeah.
Right. And in terms of the creativity, Jermaine, I know, again, you're the musician among us. How do you see art helping, I mean, your music in this sense?
Well, I'll firstly start by saying art births cultures.
Yes.
That is the beginning of cultures. And then we could branch off into categorizing different types of art, as she loved dance.
Yes.
And then there's music. I mean, I could talk about the music. I'm an artist, yes, but I'm a different type of artist. I'm also a professional barber. So, and I could safely say a haircut is not just a haircut.
Yes.
Because we, the head engineers, are now taking live tools and molding live hair into
Yes.
art,
Yes.
a design. So,
Yes.
and to be honest, when I am trimming someone, the euphoric feeling I receive from that, the endorphins that comes off within me, I feel so free that the outside world means absolutely nothing. It's like it doesn't exist. And I believe this is why I put my best foot forward, and people are very satisfied when I do art like that. In the music, when you people like Kes and Marshall, they are so connected within their own art that nothing else matters.
Yes.
Nothing else
Yes.
matters.
Yes.
They are there doing their thing, expressing their art.
Yes.
And that is just simply what it is. That is the creative aspect of it.
Yes.
I mean, there are values, there are even spiritual values you can gain from art, because art is something from within.
Yes.
It's not something you could take from out here and put in here. It's something that you have to take from in here and put out there. And that is art.
I like how you said that, Jermaine, because some, again, researchers say that art, it could help us be more empathetic.
Yeah, it evokes emotions.
Emotions.
Yes, it really brings deep emotions.
Yes.
Because some people, it's like me, at night is when I am most creative.
Okay.
I would be so sometimes sluggish during the day. I'm being very honest. But when 6 comes, I am very creative until the next morning if I decide not to sleep.
I like this. I know this is going to go off topic here, because you're seeing all the research behind the arts, and I wonder why it's not promoted enough in our schools. Right? I mean, there are art programs, but it's like, aren't children allowed to be more creative then?
Yes.
Right? Because we see the benefits of art in our society.
Yeah, and you're right about it starting from the schools. I mean, how much parents could do when it comes to art. I mean, from the moment a parent realizes an area of a discipline that the child like, they would try to channel them there to get away from some of the responsibilities. But they don't really have the time. So the onus now is upon the schools to make it a part of their curriculum and drive it in them, because I mean, not everybody like maths and English, Camille. I'm just being real.
That is
Not everybody
reality.
likes science. Not
So
everybody likes to write an exam.
I would really like to jump in.
Yes,
Yes, we always love your opinion.
The initially, our culture says if you don't have academics, you are not successful. So if you don't have all the academic certificates, you are not successful. We are slowly moving away into the reality of having an all-rounded person. And so art is seeping in, but I think it's not given the meaning that it should. So awareness is very little, and I really love your point of a parent might see a child like football, but the parent's reason in a lot of instances, not all, is to send you to football so that time make up for me to have time to pick you up after work. So it's like babysitting. There are some parents, however, understand the art, so they understand what the discipline that karate brings, that scouts bring, that sending the child to dance could bring to the child, so they see it as a form of discipline. And in order for you to pass, you can't pass on what you don't have. So as a parent, as a teacher, as the powers that be in the Ministry of Education, they have to first understand and accept that this is where this could take us, our young people, and later on our country, and pass it on to the parents. And once the parents understand that, then they will put more into it. So I think we all have a responsibility.
Camille, upon reviewing this topic today, I did some research on this topic as well, and I found out that Jamaica has taken a very serious approach to art and athletics within their culture, because they are realizing now. I mean, it makes perfect sense, because if you look at the crime rate in Jamaica, I mean, music alone can't help. That's their strong point, music. But now athletics have grown. But they're very talented people, and I was reading that the government is investing so much money in art and culture in Jamaica. And to be honest, I would like Trinidad and Tobago to follow suit, because a lot of our children are now straying, picking up the art of gunship. And that's a different topic, right?
And we all know, as Trinidadians and Tobagoans, we're very talented. We see it.
Very.
Carnival is just the tip of the iceberg of what we could do.
Costumes. That is art in
That is
itself.
art.
Totally.
That is living art.
That,
you know.
for me, that is, I mean, I don't know if I can even say it, but those kind of art is better for me than a Louis Vuitton or you know, I would support that.
Yes,
Correct.
that's ours.
Yeah, so, yeah, just to round up, I'm saying yes, art can make you smarter.
Yes,
Totally
I
agree.
totally
Right?
Totally
We've touched
agree.
on what it could do for our thinking.
Yes.
And you could see we need more critical thinking in our society.
Definitely.
Creativity, yes, we see that with our musicians, our dancers.
Yes.
You know, the creativity is there. And another most important thing, that empathy.
Yes.
And we see it now, especially with all the crime. We need a lot more in our society.
A lot more in our society.
So I would say resounding yes, art can make you smarter.
Yes,
And
totally.
it can help our society in the long run.
Yes.
And this will tie in to what J-Dot, his topic. It's about children's rights and responsibilities in the home.
Children's rights and responsibilities in the home.
Yes.
Okay, but before we go to children's rights, I want to read something
Yes, you can.
about our previous topic.
Yes.
Right? I want to go back there. Right? It says here that creating art increases the gray matter in the brain. I want us to touch that part.
Okay.
Right? People who are better at drawing seem to have more developed structures in regions of the brain that control for fine motor performance and what we call procedural memory. I take something like that to be very serious. Those are the things that strike very profound within me, and those are the things that I would like to explore. So as three grown and with a lot of experience here, I would like us to continue. Therefore, can you give us any insight to what I would have just read?
I think one of the things that I really like is that the fact that it forces, in a lot of instances, critical thinking and analysis. That in itself helps your gray matter to grow or to not die. Because you very well know something you don't use, automatically you lose.
Comes dormant.
Right. So it's like art promotes creativity, and if you look at an artist, a lot of time they may start off with doing one particular type of photo, but then they branch off because their creative juices, like a musician, like a gospel artist, like people who do costumes, carnival costumes, and it promotes it because you have to now add. Doing the same thing all the time would make any much sense. So it promotes that creativity, and I says it definitely promotes the growth of your gray matter, or at least keep what you have.
I mean, and in saying that, I would continue to read. New cognitive research out of Germany suggests that the production of visual art improves effective interaction between parts of the brain. The study, conducted on a small population of newly retired individuals, 28 people between the ages of 62 and 70, concludes that making art could delay or even negate age-related decline of a certain brain function. That is phenomenal.
That's correct.
Yes.
And we see the spikes
Yes.
in terms of dementia.
Yes.
Especially in our older population, right? So we're gonna continue this topic when we come right back. We're just going to a short break.
This is another episode of Life Matters, and I am your host, Latina Mata. Give us some insight into what is Miss Earth and what is so special about this pageant.
Okay, so like many pageants, there are a purpose behind the crown. So Miss Earth in particular, it's all about the awareness of the environment, and I'm basically an ambassador informing everyone to take care of their environment and their surroundings.
Take this moment, guys, to advocate the importance of mental health awareness, ensuring that this is something that is started to be placed in schools, in these school curriculums.
Yes.
Why aren't we having easy therapy access to schools, to parents, to the children? You know, that is something that we need to get some hands written about, right?
My name is Jesse McBarrow, and you are looking at Mending Minds. Tell us your Mending Mind moment.
I will say Sadhgu's.
A lot of people get so caught up in the what, they forget the why. There's this fixation of this is what I'm going to do, and they forget why.
Yeah.
You know, you pursue that in the first place.
And welcome back to Sunset on Plus, and we were just wrapping up our topic on can art make you smarter, and Jermaine was giving us some of the statistics coming out of Germany in terms of, you know, that's the parts of the brain, and we were seeing that with dementia, those cases on the rise, that, you know, doing things to invigorate our brain as we age gracefully, right? We need to engage, you know, our gray matters, they say.
Yes.
All right, so Jermaine, you were going to start off our next topic. I touched on it briefly, children's rights and responsibilities in a home.
What are children's rights and responsibilities in a home? That is my question. And I was saying today, as a father, I was having a conversation. I asked the question, does children have rights? Because they are children. I am actually coming off script with this topic.
Okay.
Does children have rights in a home because they are not 18? Do you see that? Do parents see that as a threat? Or they go with the cultural learning and that passed down education that, hey, I am mother, I am father, and you have to listen to me?
Jermaine, you put me in a spot. I do not have children. All right, but I believe children as they're little individuals. So I believe, yes, they do have rights. But I could only say that as a single child-free, because I don't want anybody coming for me.
No,
I really do not want parents coming for me.
You could go back to when you were coming up with your father as a younger person and your mother. Did you have rights?
Well, remember going back in the day, right? That generation of parents were stricter, very traditional. So back then I could say, no, I did not have any rights as a child. I had to do what my parents said. I couldn't deviate from that. But, you know, I'm looking at where it's 2024. It's a new century. Come on. I think there are different parenting styles that we could incorporate. But again, this is just my viewpoint because I am not a parent. I would hear my friends say, Camille, you're not a mom. You cannot speak to this.
No.
When you have your own, you will understand.
That may be true.
But it's great. I want to hear, you know, Alicia, I mean, you have children,
Yes.
you have grandchildren.
Yes, I do.
And I've heard that the parenting styles are different.
It is.
Once
certainly.
grandparents, you ease up a little bit.
But before we go to our professional, I would like to just give a brief synopsis
Yeah.
of why I think children really do have rights in a home. One, it takes the added pressure of the parent by gifting their child responsibilities. And when you do that, you already automatically creating valueship within that child. Giving them a sense of responsibility, create that safeness within them that, here what, I have to do this correctly, that my mother could trust me to do something else, you know. And once a child is on to that type of alignment, then 16, 17, your parent don't have to worry about leaving you home and calling some babysitter. That is where it starts from. So now I would channel a question to our professional. Does children have rights in a home? And now I'm going to break down this question for you, because you would come from probably 3 different generations as opposed to different styles of parenting within each generation to now. So I guess you'll give us a brief there, and here.
So firstly, I would like to say, culture impacts parenting. And again, I want to come back to the term of you cannot give what you don't have. And a lot of behavior that we pass on is learned behavior. And so the parent you are today would have been impacted by the parents that you would have had, the parenting styles that you would have experienced. So you would have touched on responsibilities and roles, and they're 2 different things. So there's a role of the parent giving the child responsibilities. And so when you give a child a responsibility, there's an expectation. You have to let you will make your child understand that those responsibilities, by accepting them, by carrying them out, could either bring rewards or consequences. That in itself is a life lesson. I want to go back to culture impact. What does society say? Society now have the rights of the child. And that impacts a lot on how a parent would take that. So the child have a right to be loved. The child have a right to education. Does it mean that every parent demonstrate love in the same way? Does it mean that every parent send their child to preschool, then primary school, get them involved with different activities to ensure that they're all rounded? Again, culture. That parent culture, what they would have known is what they could pass on, unless they step out of their comfort zone. What does that? Education, awareness, I want to. So I do not want to be the parent that my parent was to me. And we have so much help. We have technology. We have so much more opportunities for parents to earn and therefore be able to afford a better life to their children. Your core values, and that is why, but this is now my personal opinion, that is why our society, one of the reasons why our society is the way it is. I strongly believe that when we move, we took Jesus away from school and prayers, 1, and 2, corporal punishment in school with guidelines. And nobody parent come for me, please. I still practice corporal punishment with my children. And I have a comparison of cultures because I have grandchildren both in Trinidad and both abroad. However, abroad, the leeway a child have and their rights are totally different to what our Caribbean children have. So I would stop there.
Now, I'm the type of person can be very sensitive to very important things, especially when it's not being addressed. Now, I don't like to hear people sit and watch the news and see all that going on and not realizing where that coming from. Now, we could talk about many factors that hold that capacity, but one specific one is the way we discipline a child in a home, bringing them up. Now, we see how lawless this country is. We see the age group that is causing the distress and the concerns in this country. Children. Right? But where does that start from? Parenting. A large portion of that start from parenting from age 0 to age 7, because from 0 to 7 is when a child absorbs the most information they could. Everything about from 0 to 7 is supposed to be on point.
That foundation.
Right? From 7 to 14 is when the child would develop some sense of identity. So he on his own, he don't really have time for mommy and daddy. That is when he and she is most rebellious. From 14 to 21 is when they copulate their own identity and bring about their personality. And if by that time, all your core values, which she would have mentioned, is not registered in them, then you are a statistic. You are a victim. You are an employee. You're not an employer. And parents fail to see these things from just watching the news. They fail to see these things because I'm one person who believes that each generation is supposed to be better than the last. Actually, I'm going to remove that word, not supposed to. Each generation have to succeed the last, because that is eminent growth by itself.
But
that is
Alicia
evolution.
touched on something, the parents we had. What if you didn't get that support and guidance, and now you as a parent now, and you're just doing this thing from scratch?
But I'm sure she could identify that long time. Your mother friend used to cut your tail too. Your friend didn't even know your mother could have cut your tail, and that's okay. But no, as she said, you can't do that.
No.
You can't even talk to your own niece sometimes, to be honest.
True.
And that is where that barrier is being broken down. It's so sad.
So I just want to add, I would have had, and I just bring in a little experience, I would have had the experience many years ago to do some work in our youth prison, YTC. And one day I had the experience of, because I like to be down to earth and be real. So when I go into the system, I saw them as children before anything else. They're somebody's son. And for me, you communicate with them at a particular way. And a young man had an issue, and he said, "Miss, can I speak to you after the class?" And I said, "Certainly." And when he came, we discussed how he felt, because he felt he didn't have anybody to talk to. And when we were finished, I asked the officer, because he had to be present while I spoke to him, if I could have hugged him. And I hugged that young man, and his two hands were straight on his side like he was in the army. And he started to cry. And for me, I was like, oh wow, I created so much emotions, and I was like,
Definitely.
ready to be apologetic. And he said, "Miss, nobody ever hugged me before."
Alicia,
And I'm
we're
saying
just
that on all
gonna,
my
yes,
presses.
we're going to come back to that. We're just going to go to a short break, and I want you to give us more detail on that YTC experience, all right? Welcome. See you soon, guys.
This is another episode of Life Matters, and I am your host, Latina Mata. Give us some insight into what is Miss Earth and what is so special about this pageant.
Okay, so like many pageants, there are a purpose behind the crown. So Miss Earth in particular, it's all about the awareness of the environment, and I'm basically an ambassador informing everyone to take care of their environment and their surroundings.
Take this moment, guys, to advocate the importance of mental health awareness, ensuring that this is something that is started to be placed in schools, in the school curriculums.
Yes.
Why aren't we having easy therapy access to schools, to parents, to the children? That is something that we need to get some hands written about, right?
My name is Jesse McBarrow, and you are looking at Mending Minds. Tell us your mending mind moment.
I will say Sadhgu's.
A lot of people get so caught up in the what, they forget the why. There's this fixation of this is what I'm going to do, and they forget why.
Yeah.
You pursue that in the first place.
And welcome back, guys. We were just talking about children's rights and responsibilities in a home, and Alicia was just finishing her story about that YTC experience with
yes.
the young gentleman.
Yes,
Yeah.
Camille. So I was saying the young man just didn't know how to accept that love because he never felt it. And so that could lead to so much more when he become an adult. So sometimes, when we look at children, adults have a tendency to forget that they are people first.
Correct.
And it impacts on our children in a negative way a lot of times, which goes on to impact their adulthood by extension. Yes.
Very nice. And I like how we would have come to a consensus of that elaborating the belly of the topic. So I have some questions that I would have put together for you guys. Starting with our professional. What are some of the rights versus entitlements and privileges that children have in our county and homes, families?
But when you talk rights could be the government, culture says rights, or rights could be children feeling that they deserve. So some children, even as adults, feel they're entitled to what their parents have, so they're waiting for the parents to dead. And so that's entitlement. Because I am the only child, everything should be mine. Because I'm the first child, everything should be mine. As a parent, however, we have the responsibility to channel that in the right direction. And so those are some of the but as children, their rights, as I said, culture says, they have the right to education.
Correct.
They have the right to safety. They have the right to be loved.
And Camille, what are some of the let me change the question. At what age should we give children those rights and privileges?
Well, again, I can't speak from a parent, but I mean, I'm thinking once they're old enough to understand, I would say as young as 5. I mean, even younger than that, because we see children coming up now a lot more aware. All right.
And I'm going to ask this question to some of our children who are viewing. I know they would love this type of question. Should the reward system be, of what value should be the reward system for a child when it comes to a child doing what the parent have asked?
I think that is dependent on the parents' values. So, for example, one of the things I saw my daughter-in-law do was do a chart, and she had monetary rewards for chores that they would have done. And it worked okay, but with my children, you had the fact that you did it well, I say well done, and we move on. I didn't have that monetary or material, and it worked. So I want to say different folks for different strokes based on situations in the home and based on your culture.
I truly agree with that. And Camille, as I know we don't have much time again, but in wrapping up the topic, do you think that the rights of children should be acknowledged at a government level?
Well, definitely we have the tenets, the international rights for kids worldwide. Yes, it should be.
It should be enforced.
It should be enforced.
And
Totally
my
agree.
last question, our professional today, give us just 2 to 3, it could be probably just two main rights that children have. Let them know what rights they have as a child.
So one of the main rights for me that is very important is the right to love and a sense of feeling safe. And once that child feel that, then they would pass it on and by extension be a better individual and a better adult that would contribute in a positive way to society. Also the right to education, and I want to say here education not just being academic, but education and having a rounded child. So you get them involved in culture, you get them involved in little groups, and so it again is for the purpose of rounding, for them to get their circle of influence to change who they are and to impact on them. And we're hoping that those are some of the things that would create the adult that would be a positive impact on society.
And as a parent myself, I would like to add one to that. One of the rights you have is the right to self-love children. You must find a way.
Totally.
Mommy and daddy, they have a part to play to love you, but you have to know yourself and love yourself.
Yes.
And you could know that from 0. You could know that from 5, you could know that from 10, and you could know that from 15 going onward. So you have the right to love yourself as well as mommy and daddy and Camille's love and Auntie Joseph.
Auntie Camille's love, yes. All right, so we're closing off. Our last topic for this evening is, can we decrease road traffic accidents? Now, this would have come out. We recently saw on video cam an accident involving the KISS driver's truck being struck from behind, by another speeding vehicle. The truck driver died instantly on the scene, while the other driver simply drove off. Now, eventually, he turned himself in for questioning, and I believe we have some footage there. So, I don't even know where to begin with this.
I mean, look how creative people are. What way?
I mean, thank God for the video cam, so it was all there. Again, I want to say condolences go out to the family of that KISS driver just trying to do his job on the nation's roads, and this happened. Again, I know police doing investigation and whatnot, because the driver did eventually turn himself in. But I want us to, after seeing this, and we keep hearing more and more accidents on our highways everywhere. Is there a way that we can, as a society, as citizens, can we decrease, as I say, the carnage on our roadways? Is it possible? What do you think, Jim?
The main factors are there. Slow down when it's wet road. Don't drink and drive. Stay off the phone. Don't text and drive. Those are some of the main things we know. But I don't know if I might sound contrary, but there's a benevolent force above us, and sometimes these things are so unfortunate that we don't even have the amount of words to describe how it is, but at the same time, it happened.
Camille, I honestly want to talk about the enforcement or the lack of enforcement in some cases of our laws. I think it leads back to creating discipline. And so I just want to use a little example. In crossroads in some countries, when you reach to a crossroad, there's the white line to stop. And the drivers in those countries are so disciplined. They give way to the first person that gets to that white line. You drive. Everybody else take their turn. So it doesn't matter what direction, you take your turn. And for me, that in itself says plenty. I mean, this is home for 50 plus years, and I see a lot of times, even when the light is for you, I do it. I hesitate when my light turns green. And so discipline, the enforcement of laws, I think too many times people get a slap on their wrist And so but it starts with us as the individuals. Sometimes we go to other countries and we obey their laws and we don't obey ours.
I mean, and to add to that, I've been to St. Martin and Camille. Let me tell you, other than the place is very beautiful, I've learned that even the gangsters disobey the traffic laws. Everybody drives behind one another. I've been there for like 3 weeks and I've never seen.
And I'm sorry, I have to cut across you, Jermaine. This was a really interesting topic, but we have to say goodbye. All right, thanks again for tuning in with us on Sunset on Plus. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.